Like I say, lovely to meet up with you and do the assessment on your game. I was looking at one of your swings, or one of your recaps, should I say, from a few months back when we first started work, and the progress you've made has been remarkable, especially if you look at the footies that we took on the course. The way you deliver the club to the ball now is dramatically improved. It's only going to keep getting better as your understanding of the system improves as well. But on the key points that we discussed on the day, I've sent you the images across. Obviously, there's more than this that we want to chart and work on. But the key points for you to think about whilst you're practicing are, when we look at it down the line, the golf swing. Because we historically used to pick the club up, we've worked a lot now on getting this sort of inward aspect to the golf swing. And unfortunately, the hands and the arms are getting a little bit too deep and too far behind the right shoulder. Now, ideally we'd want them about 6 inches behind the right shoulder. That would have us on our desired plane at the top. And that was the thought here, was just a balancing effect really, just to try and feel like you're swinging the club above the right shoulder more. You can see there that that's had a marked effect on the position you arrive at the top of the golf swing. We've got a cane to the side of your head to keep the axis stable. One of the things we noticed was that whilst the weight was forward at setup, it was translating off quite a bit on the way back. You can see there that the hands look very low and behind you. This is, again, one of the first swings that you made, allied to the one on the top left. So too much of an inward move and too much movement off the golf ball. They were the first 2 points that we wanted to combat. And when we did that, we ended up with this swing that we see here on the bottom left, which is dramatically improved, and to be fair is more than adequate to play the golf that you want to play at the minute. But hey, at the end of the day, let's try and get as good as we can get. There's a little bit of funky stuff going on there on the way down, which was the other thing we discussed. There's a lot of still that tendency to sort of move the hips further forward than you used to do, but you still want to flex forward in the through swing. So we've got this sort of flex forward look during the follow through that we want to try and get rid of. I'm just going to leave that up there. Play this one back. So these were the 2 key pieces really. We wanted to improve the look of the top of the backswing, and the feel for that is to feel like you're swinging the club more over the right shoulder. You can see there that it's not over the right shoulder, but it's certainly less behind the right shoulder, and it's in a much more appropriate position. On the way through, we were trying to feel like we were tucking the hips under more. We've spent a little bit of time here on keeping the head stationary. I've got the club to the right of your head now. That's going to stop you flexing forward through impact. And you can see there now that we've got a much more tucked underneath look to the finish, rather than this flex forward look at the same time during the downswing. So instead of being flexed towards the target with the upper body, like so, we're stretching the spine off more, and we've got that more tucked under look to the finish. So again, a lot of work in the coming months on stabilising the axis of the shoulder turn, both on the way back and on the way down, and we may work on those intermittently during the same session. So great work with that. The images have been sent across. Between now and when we get together next, focus on what you see on the bottom left, where the butt of the club is being swung more over the right shoulder, and then try and feel what you're seeing on the bottom centre, which is tucking the hips underneath rather than letting that head drift forward during the downswing. In regards to the putting, what we saw was a putting stroke that was a little bit erratic at times, brought about really because of the positioning of the shaft in relation to the forearm. So what we're seeing here is, let's get the right line on, a player with quite straight arms, and then a shaft that comes out on a little bit more of an angle. And what we've suggested you do is that you give yourself a little bit more room, bend forward from the hips a little bit more so that you can soften the arms, keeping the elbows tucked in, and get the right forearm and the shaft of the putter much more in line with one another, or get the forearms and the shaft of the putter much more in line with one another. When you do that, the stroke has a gentle arc to it, and it's much easier to repeat. We've got a putter that's very stable, so we don't need the putting stroke to be too long. and we also don't need to let that putter wander away from you too much in the through swing. So nice stroke there on that one. This one was a little bit manufactured, and the putter tended to sort of wander away from you through the ball. So as you come through the hit, the putter sort of wanders away, and we were getting a lot of heel strikes, putts that were pushed to the right, etc, etc. So good luck with it, and I look forward to working with you again in the coming months. Well done.